Hello everybody, I'm Dr. Urvashi Sharma, Associate Professor, Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Jagannath University, Jaipur. This is in continuation with our series Driving Force of the Freedom Struggle, and in today's session we look at how Kasturi Ranga's The Hindu played an important role in the freedom struggle. So let's begin. G. Subramaniam Iyer was a social reformer, a freedom fighter who chose to fight his battle of freedom by establishing two prominent newspapers. One being the Hindu, which is still considered as most respectable newspaper, and the other one of the first Tamil newspaper, Swadesh Samitran. G. Subramaniam Iyer, he was a freedom fighter and a social reformer. Then he decided that the battle of freedom can only be fought if we inculcate the spirit of nationalism through our writings, right, amongst the masses. And for this he started two prominent newspapers. One is the Hindu, which is the most credible and the most respectable newspaper even in the present times, and second was the Tamil newspaper Swadesamitran. Now, Subramaniam Iyer tried to use his newspaper as a vehicle to reform the society, but he was caught up in defamation cases which left him financially empty handed. So, through his newspaper, he was trying to bring about social reforms in the society. But because of the heavy fines on the defamation cases which were put against him and his paper, he ran out of resources. He served as the editor of publication in 1908 and was prosecuted and sentenced for sedition by British government. While Subramaniam Iyer was more comfortable in writing in English, but he started newspaper in Tamil, which is Swadesamitran, 4 years after he started Hindu. He inspired Tamil people to join freedom movement through his writings. So it was through his writings he was trying to mobilize the masses. So because there was a lurch in the Tamil newspaper, so he started Swadesamitran, even though he was not very well versed writer in Tamil, but also through his but even so through his writings in Tamil, he was able to inculcate the feeling of nationalism among the Tamilians through his newspaper Swadesamitran. Kasturi Ranga Iyer, a lawyer who hailed from village of Kumbakonam, bought the Hindu in April 1905. Now Subramaniam Iyer had sold off Hindu to Kasturi Rangan Iyengar in April 1905. Its circulation was down to 800 copies, and he was an Indian independence activist, politician, lawyer, and a journalist. So Kasturi Ranga Iyengar was an activist, he was a journalist, he was a politician, he was a lawyer who had bought Hindu, whose circulation was as down as 800 copies when he bought it from uh, its predecessor. He served as a managing editor of the Hindu newspaper from 1st April 1905 till his death in December 1923. Now, Iyengar was the first to install rotary printing press in Chennai. Now, through the rotary printing press, what happened? The traditional printing technology was out and the modern printing technology was in, which kick-started the publication. The speed of the printing was high, which kick-started the number of copies which were published, and Hindu still follows it today. The champion of the freedom of press, Kasturi Ranga Iyengar, established the Hindu and gave it a tagline, the voice of the people. He also helped to sharpen its news gathering approach, increase coverage, and improve distribution. He was a well known journalist, social reformer, and political leader from Madras. So, if we look at the Hindu of that time also Hindus' journalistic policies were very clear and sharp. So that time also Hindu was known for its coverage, its extensive coverage of what was happening in and around, and the massive distribution network, news gathering approach, which is the essence of any newspaper. So it needs to be noted that a background in journalism and the understanding of society as a social reformer and political leader, Kasturi Ranga Iyengar was able to put Hindu as one of the best newspapers of the country. Kasturi Ranga Iyengar worked to rescue the Hindu by increasing advertisements and termination subscription to customers who did not pay in advance. He sought to ensure the financial independence of the paper by stopping the practice of depending on donation from the rulers of the state. So this was one revolutionary measure which was taken by Kasturi Ranga Iyengar to rescue Hindu from increasing advertisements. Right? What he did was he terminated the subscription of the customers who were not paying in advance, so that Hindu did not become a newspaper which was carrying too much of advertisements, and also is not a newspaper which is dependent on donations to be run by the state rulers. If we were dependent on the say donations of the state rulers, it meant that we had to oblige, we have to follow their ideology. We as a newspaper, the biasness would be reflected in the number of and the kind and the number of stories the Hindu carried. And it is still today. Hindu is one of the newspapers which has l- lesser number of advertisements as compared to any of the daily which come out today. Through the newspapers, he launched a powerful campaign to awaken patriotic sentiments. The Hindu consistently supported Swadeshi movement and the concept of self-governance for India. Iyengar opposed decadent social customs such as untouchability and child marriage. He was champion of the depressed classes and identified himself with many of the labor unions. So we have to understand that the Hindu was a newspaper or is a newspaper which comes out for a cause. Through its writing, through its ideology, Hindu was able to launch powerful campaigns which aimed at awakening patriotic feeling amongst the masses. Not only that, it also supported Swadeshi movement and the idea of self-governance or Swaraj. And as a social reformer, a younger constantly wrote about the ill effects of untouchability, the ill effects of child marriage, and he promoted, say, labor class. He was in the favor of giving equal rights to the labor class, improving their working condition. That is why he became part of the many labor unions. Thank you. So we have seen that how a newspaper which began pre-independent at the time of say pre-independence era exists still today, maintaining its journalistic value, maintaining the ideology with which it was formed, and has established itself as the most credible source of information and a respectable newspaper of present time. Thank you.